Hey, hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Chastity. Here we talk about beauty, entertainment, celebrities, books, movies, anime, TV shows, and kind of anything else that garners my attention this week. But before we get into today's video, I am a part of Amazon's influencer program. So if you click the link in the pinned comment below, it'll take you over to my Amazon storefront where you can shop all of my favorite things. So if you want to do a little shopping while also supporting me, click the link in the pinned comment below. And today we are talking about the honey pot and all of the mess that took place on social media the other day. If you don't know what the honey pot is a feminine care brand that specializes in natural washes, wipes, and pads. The honey pot was founded by Beatrice Dixon. Beatrice said that she suffered from bacterial vaginitis for about 8 months until in a dream one night, her ancestors came to her with this recipe in order to heal herself, and thus the honey pot was created. With the help of social media, the honey pot blew up. It was this black-owned brand that was making organic feminine care products, and at that time the market was really looking for that. At that time, a lot of women were looking for safer options to staple brands like Summer's Eve and Vagisil. So to see this black woman come in with these organic products, a lot of people ran towards the honey pot. So a few days ago, a Twitter user had tweeted at the honey pot's Twitter account asking about the ingredient changes in the feminine wash. And the honey pot Twitter account did respond to this person explaining the reasoning behind the changes and why. And I will have that screenshot right up here. So if you want to pause right now and read it, you can do that. Following that tweet, I assume a lot of other people also were asking honey pot about the ingredient changes, because a few days after that, Beatrice actually took to the honey pot Instagram where she posted a video talking about the ingredient changes and talking about the fact that for making better formula, things were added, as well as polling consumers and seeing what they wanted in their feminine wash, which led to the formula changes. Now, I know a lot of people were asking what consumers were polled, because a lot of people were like, I had no problem with the original formula. I thought the original formula was fine. I didn't ask for these changes. These formula changes led to the feminine wash no longer having a seal stating that it was organic. Now, we will be circling back to the seal saying it's organic a little bit later, because I found out some very interesting information. But as I was looking through social media, I could kind of see two very distinct camps that were upset with the honey pot. The camp that was upset that the feminine wash was no longer organic and were fearing that the rest of the products would be going through a similar formula change. And the people who were upset with the way this was announced, or the lack of announcement of a formula change. Let's talk about the lack of announcement of a formula change. Before we even really get into this topic, I want to make it very, very clear that it is not illegal for a brand to change its formula and not inform its consumers. If they change their formula, they honestly don't have to tell you shit. Being completely honest, a brand can just change its formula whenever it feels like and never say a thing if they don't want to. That's why on brand websites they always tell you to refer to the back of the product to see the ingredients, because they're always consistently changing. As the FDA and USDA's laws and regulations change, so do ingredients and products to keep up with the change of laws and regulations. Now, do I personally feel like brands should be upfront about formula changes and why the formula is changing? Yes, but I'm also aware brands don't gotta do shit. But for my own personal feelings, I do like the transparency. Now, when we're talking about the honey pot, I think a lot of its supporters felt like if people weren't tweeting and commenting, if people weren't making TikToks about the product change, that honey pot was never going to say anything. And to them, that just feels a little bit underhanded and sneaky. You're changing the formula of a feminine product, not saying anything until you're starting to catch heat and flack for it. Now again, brands do not have to tell consumers about a change of formula. But it's also very normal to see brands announcing it on the packaging. Plenty of times when brands will change their formula, they will have it stated on the packaging that there is a new formula. It is kind of common practice to see that. Even when brands change their packaging, they'll have it on the product. new packaging but same old formula. So there is a common practice of letting consumers know about product changes. Again, not every brand does it, but some brands do that. Do not be surprised if this video increasingly gets darker and you start hearing thunder, because it's about to pour right now. So I'm just giving you a heads up. If I'm in complete darkness, that's why. I don't know if it was last year or the year before that, but there was a honey pot shortage that like the company never explained why there weren't products on the shelves. But I'm going to assume that that shortage was just them reformulating. And if I'm being honest, that probably would have been a really great time to announce the reformulation and explaining why the product is being reformulated. Because I feel like that's also another issue, is consumers not understanding the need to reformulate, even though from our research the original product did not have any preservatives, which we'll get into a little bit more later. And because of the lack of preservatives, there was actually mold growing in the feminine wash after a certain amount of time, which happens with no preservatives. Now let's move on to the other reason why some people were upset with the honey pot, and that is the fact that the feminine wash is no longer organic, which was a huge selling point for a lot of people. We need to talk about what is the definition of organic and how that term is being regulated. So how does the FDA define the term organic? They don't. So the FDA regulates cosmetics under the authority of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetics Act, as well as the Fair Packaging and Labeling Act. The term organic is not defined under either of these laws or regulations that the FDA has the authority under. So if there's no definition, how is this term regulated? So the USDA oversees the National Organic Program, or NOP. NOP's regulations include definition for organic and provide certification that agricultural ingredients are being produced under conditions that meet that definition. They also include labeling based on percentage of organic ingredients. So for a product to be considered organic, the product must contain or be made up of agricultural ingredients and meet the standards set up by the USDA. So if they can fit all that criteria, they can be certified organic. So if a product meets those certifications, they can be given one of the 4 labels. So a product could have the 100% organic label, the organic label, the made with organic label, or the specific organic ingredient listed label. Hi, Editing Chastity here. So I just want to make it clear that throughout my entire research, every time the word organic would pop up, it would be in quotes, because it's more of a concept than an actual thing. There is no definition, there is no regulations, there is no way to really quantify what organic is in this situation according to the FDA and the USDA. Now, if you look at the packaging of the original feminine wash, you will see that it says certified organic with an asterisk next to it. Now, when you look at the ingredients list, you will only see one ingredient with an asterisk next to it, and that's the apple cider vinegar. So, from what I can gather, the only thing in that original ingredient list that is certified organic is the apple cider vinegar. So the actual original formula is not as organic as the honey pot was making people believe that it was. And that's not just the honey pot. Brands have a way of being tricky with words and phrasing to kind of make consumers believe one thing when it's not actually true. Like I mentioned, what was added to the new formula was preservatives, which was severely lacking in the original formula. And because there were no preservatives in the original formula, there were people that were saying that their feminine wash was growing mold, which happens where there's no preservatives. I do feel like a lot of this is being pushed by the clean beauty movement, which is another thing that like does not have an actual definition with the FDA or the USDA. Either just like clean beauty is just something a brand can call itself because there is no actual definition or real regulations behind it. Any brand could really go around calling itself clean beauty because there's really nothing in place to regulate it. But yeah, this whole new movement of clean beauty, that chemicals are bad and you should only use natural products, which is stupid because everything is a chemical. you are a chemical. That's why this whole like chemicals bad movement just makes no sense, because literally everything is a chemical. Because yes, are some chemicals bad? Yeah. But some chemicals are good, and some chemicals who are bad can be good at lower dosages. The same way, just because something is natural or organic does not automatically make it good for you. Because like I've said before on this channel, you know what else is organic? Cyanide, and that will kill you. It's all about formulation and percentages, because yes, at a high dosage could something be extremely dangerous, yes, but if it's at less than 1%, it's not as harmful. And I feel like that's what's missing, is the understanding of how formulas work and how specific ingredients interact and work with each other, as well as understanding percentages of these products, because ingredients lists do not have percentages. All you know is that everything at the top is at the highest volume and everything at the bottom is a very, very low percent. And that's it. But you don't know the actual breakdown, or you don't know what products are in there in order to balance out other products. That's all missing when you're just blindly looking at a ingredient list, which is why apps like the Yuka app that a lot of y'all are using is not great, because the Yuka app does not know at what percentage these ingredients are being used. Because yes, at high volumes, these ingredients can be dangerous, but we don't know at what percentage they're being used because they don't actually have that breakdown. Preservatives are not the bad guy, all right? I know like they have this really bad rap, but they do hold a place in formulas. They do a great job of stopping complete batches of ingredients from being contaminated and then being sent to you contaminated, as well as it does a great job with the longevity of the products, which was a problem with the original honey pot formula, because it would get moldy. And I'm sorry, the choice between preservatives or molds on your lady bits, I feel like there's a clear winner, as well as it can help stabilize the ingredients. Preservatives are not these devil things, and I really wish we could have a good blend of like natural and organic with science. They can work together so beautifully if y'all would just let this happen, because I feel like a lot of it is seeing big words that you've never seen before and assuming it's this dangerous thing, when sometimes it could be the scientific name for fucking grapefruits. Now, with that all being said, I fully understand why, as a consumer, especially when you're talking about feminine care products in such an intimate place, you seeing all of these chemicals and all of these preservatives, being hesitant and weary of putting that near such a sensitive place. I'm not really mad at any of you for just being like, whoa, that's a lot. Again, I do think that's kind of failure of Honey Pot for not really trying to educate its base on what was actually going on. Again, they don't have to, but I feel like we wouldn't have gotten to this place if they would have said something before everything got changed. So I fully understand why some of you are extremely apprehensive of putting that type of formula near your sensitive areas. I fully get it. Personally, I feel like instead of taking the decision making solely in your hands, maybe go speak to a doctor, a professional, and ask them, give them the product and ask them, is this something that I should be weary of? Should I keep using this? Should I stop using this? I feel like that's what's missing in all of this, is people actually speaking to their doctors and getting a doctor's opinion on everything. I also believe that a portion of this outrage is due to the fact that the Honey Pot is a black-owned brand, and black-owned businesses are held to standards that y'all do not always hold these white-owned brands to. Because again, changing formulas and not saying anything is a normal thing. Brands don't have to tell you anything. And I've never seen a white-owned brand change its formula and get this much hate and vitriol the way that the Honey Pot is getting. And it's the way that a lot of black-owned businesses get their feet held to the fire, but white-owned businesses don't. These major corporations that have the funding and the tools and the ability to not fuck up the way they do, but when they do fuck up, it's completely fine, it's okay. But let a smaller black-owned brand make a mistake, And niggas are like, I am boycotting, I'm never using this again, I'm looking for different alternatives. And again, I think it's completely fine to not like the formula changes, but y'all are irrationally angry about a lot of this, like angrier than most. And some of you are angry and you don't even use these products. You just hate the honey pot. For what? I again, hating a brand that really hasn't done anything is strange and weird. And again, I do feel like black owned businesses are held to much higher standards than white owned businesses. And sometimes I get it, because sometimes black owned businesses can be completely unprofessional and they are not about their business shit and the customer service sucks and all that. There is bad black owned businesses, but there's also bad white owned businesses, and y'all are not angry enough about that the way you're angry about black owned businesses. But I do think there are some people who their anger is just because it's a black owned business, but that's not everybody. Now, I did also see a lot of tweets of people saying that Beatrice had sold the company, but I couldn't find any actual viable information to substantiate any of those claims. The only thing I could find is a 2020 interview she did with The Helm that's titled Honeypot founder Beatrice Dixon is already planning her exit strategy. And that title pretty much sums up the entire article. Beatrice has a plan for one day selling her company, and this is just not something she is going to do forever. She doesn't want to always be a businesswoman, and that there shouldn't be any stigma about selling your company. Like, it's just a company, and that she has an exit plan. That's really it. But there is no saying when she's planning on selling. She could be selling tomorrow. She could be selling 10, 20 years from now. Just that this is not something she's always gonna do. That's it. That's it for me. What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on this whole situation? Do you understand the hate towards the honeypot? Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Are you somewhere in the middle? What are your guys' thoughts on the fact that there is really no rules, regulations, or real definitions for the use in term organic? Do you feel like organic and like clean products are all a scam? Leave all that in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.